The impact of Israeli policies on Palestinians in the occupied territories is dominating the headlines. But in the southern part of Israel, another Arab community has been struggling to stay on land they call home. And Emanuel Miller, who's a political analyst in Jerusalem. Emanuel, I'm just wondering, is there a sense of us and them with Bedouins and Israelis, the Bedouins who are living in Bedouin communities and then Israelis who maybe don't understand their way of life? Do you get that sense?
I think with anybody who's living primarily in a city or a town, and then people who are living out there in the desert, there's going to be a disconnect because of different services and just a different way of life. But I can tell you that I went to al-Hiran earlier this week to go and see what they live like, and I think it's very important to experience life from their side and see what they go through. What I can tell you, which is very interesting, and I think we can agree in idea with what Nadia just said just now, that everybody should be able to live life in dignity, and there should be equal rights for all. And I think there's a significant room for improvement, and I think it's a fantastic move forward that the state is offering an almost $100 million package to improve their infrastructure, to improve the roads, improve the health services, and there's certainly a step in the right direction.
Emanuel, I actually looked at your Facebook site because you just came back from your trip to al-Hiran. Show me some of these pictures. I'm going to show you the pictures. You can tell me what you saw and what you were thinking as you were taking the pictures. Can you see this one?
Well, yes, I can see it. I've got a very bad screen here, but yes, it was a rainy day and it was my first time there. I was intrigued to see their way of life, how the roads were not paved, how there were some real homes, as you can see in the previous picture, and that's now Hura, the town that's been built for the Bedouin. And as you can see in that picture in Hura, the life is a lot better in terms of the buildings, much bigger buildings, much better roads. The roads are paved. The roads actually have names there, and in fact, a tremendous amount of money has been poured into Hura. But if you want to talk about al-Hiran, when I was there, I was taken by Rabbi Arik Asherman, who used to previously head Rabbis for Human Rights, and we had a good conversation on the way there. And he was telling me that in the 2000s, there were flash floods, and 3 girls were swept to their death in al-Hiran. And the situation was so bad that then the infrastructure minister, Ariel Sharon, somebody with a checkered history, said that this cannot be, and he provided money out of his own coffers to give the Bedouin there more steady homes that would be more resistant. But in general, I think it's very concerning. You go there and you realize that these are not conditions that people can really live in long term. And there does need to be an upgrade. And I think that's what the towns, that's not, I think, that's certainly what the government is saying. These are what the towns are designed for, that they can live in places that can withstand the elements, that they can have access to proper services. And there's one way of putting it, which Nadia just said about displacement, and another way of putting it is giving the Bedouins a greater quality of life.
But why wouldn't you give them a chance of better life in their own villages? Why should Bedouin live in cities? I mean,
I think John will have a lot to say about this.
Wouldn't really help the people.
You can't build anywhere.
Provide services.
You can't build anywhere if you're breaking the law.
Leave them retain their traditional way of life and not just imposing a totally different way of life.
So it's interesting you say it's not way of life, because when I was at
helping them by demolishing their houses, you're not helping them by concentrating them in impoverished localities. I mean, if you want to help the Bedouin community, you have to respect our tradition, to allow us live on livestock.
That's a fair claim, and I'd like to respond to that.
It's not. I mean, it's not fake. This is basically the truth, that the government, the only planning pattern that we are allowed to have is basically cities. And other Jews who live in the vicinity, they can live in a community, they can live in a city, they can live in a township. Why don't we have those options? Why we, as Bedouins,
you answered the questions. I'd like to respond to them.
Can't practice our own way of life and should be.
You've said that a few times, and I want to respond to this claim that you want to practice your own way of life. When I was in al-Hiran, I was told that the people there are mostly people with professions. They're not farmers. They're doctors. There's teachers. These are people who are educated, and they are not. In fact, when I was there, I didn't see very many cattle grazing in the area around it. So when you're talking about a traditional way of life,
this is the result of the result of the government policy.
I'd like to respond to your claim.
This is the result of the government policy. I mean, they already destroyed our communities, and for that reason, the people can't rely anymore on agriculture.
Something I think is missing from this conversation. We keep on talking about racism, we keep on talking about oppression and apartheid and all these words, and I'd like to go and talk about a few other things. Is this only happening to Bedouins? Does Israel pull out Jews? Does it move Jews and relocate them? It absolutely does. I can tell you that there were 8,000 Jews who were living in the Gaza Strip, and they were relocated in 2005.
Those are illegal settlements under international law.
I would like to finish my point. I want to hear you. I really want to hear you, but let's keep it a bit civil. Thank you. So in 2005, yes, we can discuss the reason why they were moved, and you can have your claim, and I'm not going to go and dispute that right now, but we can just say that in terms of just humanity, these people were promised homes, and the fact is, even now, 30% of them are still living in mobile homes. I can tell you, as a Jew of Iraqi descent, that my grandfather came here in the 1950s, and close to 1 million Jews came from the Middle East to Israel, and many of them lived in transit camps in tents.
Years ago.
In Israel. I'm not just. It's not about how long ago it was. About the treatment that they received. And in many ways, the treatment they received is very similar to what we're talking about with the Bedouin now. And it's not about racism against the Bedouin. I think there's a problem with Israel as a state in that it's very bad at planning these things.
Yeah,
so
it's
I can
very
talk about this personal experience, and I think I can empathize with you, because I think we can connect over this. It's not necessarily a hatred or a desire to go and move you out, but it's also a plan that's being put forward, and yeah, you can have some serious objections to that plan without it being necessarily racism.
So Emanuel Miller, Nadia Ben Youssef, and also Dov Lieber and Amir Abu Queda, we're going to take you all online. So if you're watching on TV, go. Emanuel, I know you wanted to kick off because you had a couple of points you wanted to make, and we were right at the end of the live show. Go ahead.
Okay, so one of the things I was going to respond to Nadia was that she mentioned that we are not all backwards, and that would be a racist thing to assume, and I agree. When I was in al-Hiran, I got to meet people, and I understood that these people are professionals, and they have good jobs as teachers, and they're not all farmers, far from it. And I think that ties in, and there's an inherent contradiction between saying we have to preserve our way of life as people who live as farmers, and then saying, but we're not all backwards and we're not all farmers. These people, as clearly they're professionals, and therefore there's no problem if they want to, for them to move into a town. If they want to stay in a village, then the new rebuilt town of Hiran will accept them. They'll be moved into that. They'll be able to stay in that town. So one way or another, I don't think there's any contradiction between saying that their way of living.
That's a blatant lie. I mean, they won't be. There's committees that won't allow Arabs to be in this community towns. Saying that Arabs can live in Hiran is
the town doesn't exist yet, so it's hard to speculate. But I can tell you about Hura. When I went to Hura, it's entirely populated by Bedouin.
Right. It's like a reservation, Hura, if you recognize it in terms of American context. It's a town that was established in order to house the Bedouin. It's an urban town, and as Amir said, it's in the lowest socioeconomic bracket in Israeli society. So it's the most impoverished town.
I can tell you that the houses there are much nicer than mine. I would kill for a house like that. It's much better than the house that I currently live in.
Yeah, you're welcome to move into Hura today.
I wouldn't, because there's about 78 murders a year there, and because the intertribal rivalries mean that it's not the best place, certainly for a Jew to live. Okay. I would be persecuted there. So I think there's actually another level of complexity that we need to discuss, is the intertribal rivalries with the Bedouin. There is other levels that we have to discuss here.
Amir, Dov, Nadia, Emanuel, this has been going on for so long. I appreciate you bringing new energy to the conversation and helping our audience around the world understand it better. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it. Take care.